Welcome back. In his debut book titled You Have to Be Gay to Know God, Durban-born writer Siya Khumalo gives an honest account of his views on sexuality, religion and politics. The read also describes his experiences of growing up in a Christian setting, as well as how he had been humiliated and judged for being gay and eventually coming out and fully accepting who he is. Well, Siya is here with us in studio and he's going to talk to us more about his journey as he documented it in his offering. Siya, great to have you on Morning Live. You look phenomenal. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about the title of the book. It certainly has a lot of tongue wagging, even amongst us here in studio. What is the significance behind it, and what does it actually mean that you have to be gay to know God?
Well, what I've noticed is that a lot of abuses that come from churches or other institutions are normally examined from a very heteronormative lens, or from a very straight people lens. But you often have to be gay to realize, for an example, that the kind of abuse you'd get, you're looking at the Omotoso rape trial, for an example, the kind of abuse you'd get there is because a lot of religious institutions view sex as a tool with which men can maintain their power over women, which is also the reason they cannot stomach the idea of same-sex romance or relationships, because they never view romance or they never view sexuality as a tool that humans can use to express healthy connections. They view it as something that is used to abuse, which is why the same churches that give us homophobic teachings are the same churches that turn around and inflict or perpetrate abuse on women. So it's two sides of the same coin. You have to be gay, you have to be on the margins of the system to see it from the outside, to see it for what it really is, and to develop a richer, deeper and more legitimate spirituality.
That's very, very interesting. So as a young Christian boy growing up in a Christian household,
yes,
that was, obviously all the beliefs were centered around Christianity, yes, and that informed behavior and lifestyle, I would imagine. But how did that shape who you are? Well,
I was one of the lucky ones. When I was very young and I came out to my mother, she told me that God is love. She was very clear on this. God loves you. You're not a mistake. You're a blessing. God made you the way you are so that you could shake up some things that need to be shaken up. So I even detailed this conversation in the book. But there are other relatives who initially had doubts that this was the correct path for me. But in the course of time, they realized that the most important thing we can do, as if we're going to call ourselves Christians or people of any faith, is love one another.
And in the book, you talk about how you were humiliated, rejected, and obviously bullied by people who weren't understanding issues around your sexuality, people, yes, who probably thought that you were making it up. How did you deal with that? How did you overcome some of those challenges that you faced?
It's easy to overcome an obstacle when you understand it. When something just happens to you and you have no tools with which to unpack it, that becomes tricky. And I was, again, one of the very lucky ones. I could go to psychotherapy. There were school teachers I could approach and talk to. And one of the things they started helping me understand was the insecurity of a lot of the bullies I was dealing with. Because a lot of boys are raised to have a very narrow emotional range. Anger, fear, we're not really allowed to be the fullness of who we can be. So they felt challenged by my decision, some people would call it, to live as a full and authentic human being. And a lot of mature people helped me to see that bigger picture.
And just to quickly wrap it up, I mean, you're very passionate and very vocal about gender injustices, bringing about social justice to those who feel violated for who they choose to be. How has writing this book helped you? Has it helped you get closer to issues of activism for the LGBTIQ community? And how do you hope to advance that side of you?
Well, it has helped me orient myself in a more global context, especially with this continent. There are a lot of countries where being gay is still decriminalized. And it's helped me understand the history of being black, of being African. And it partially was therapy for myself, but it's also helped me connect with a broader struggle for the fuller realization of human rights. And that's been quite empowering and liberating on its own.
All right, very quickly, can we get this book at all book outlets?
At any good book outlet. perfect.
Okay, fantastic. Siya, all the best, and thank you so much for your time. It's been incredible chatting to you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. That's Durban-born writer and activist Siya Khumalo speaking to us about his debut book titled You Have to Be Gay to Know God. Well, you can send us some of the books that you are reading or have read, and by doing that, you can find yourself joining us here live in studio for our Sunday book review feature to talk about some of your favorite books. All you have to do is send us an email, Instagram, or tweet us a picture and a relevant caption of your pick of the week, must read for 2018, your current read, and the one you were hoping was going to be great but perhaps turned out to be rather disappointing. Use our social media platforms. We are at Morning Live SABC on Twitter and Facebook, but you can also drop us an email. It's morninglive@sabc.co.za. Time for a quick break. Zoe is performing after the ad break. You don't want to miss this.